Okay, today's lesson is on our nation's resources. We're going to talk about the different types of resources that are found around the world, that are found in our area. But first, we need to identify what is a resource. A resource is something people use to produce goods and services. Natural resources are resources that are useful or necessary resources found in nature. For example, a natural resource is water, coal, or oil. These are things that are only found in nature, that they cannot be created by people. All right. Next, we have a term that many of us are familiar with. It's called renewable resource. A renewable resource is a resource that can be replaced. Your book says, for example, fisheries are one example. A fishery is an area where fish are raised in a large pond or area like that, and the fish are raised to a certain point, and then they're sold. Then the person who runs the fishery can refill that tank again with more fish. This is a renewable resource, something that can be used and be replaced. Non-renewable resource is a resource that can only be used one time and cannot be replaced. For example, oil. If I go out and I get oil out of the ground with our oil wells, that area, once I've pumped it dry, it cannot be replaced again. More oil does not fill back in. It's a non-renewable resource, meaning only used one time. A flow resource can only be used when and where it is found. For example, wind, water, and sunlight. If you live in an area that is very windy and the wind constantly blows, that could be a flow resource. A resource that you could use would be wind. If I live in an area where the wind does not blow as often, then I can't rely on that resource to be there for me. This is called a flow resource. Water is also a flow resource because it can only be used when and where it's found. If I live out in the desert and there are no lakes or rivers or streams around, obviously I can't rely on water. Right? So those are examples of flow resources. They are resources that are used only where and when they are found. Okay, next we have capital resource. A capital resource is a resource made by people and include tools, machines, and buildings. People need capital resources to make goods and provide services. For example, a capital resource, it says, is a machine. Okay, these are made by people. We need machines in order to help us to provide services. For example, I don't know, let's say a farmer needs a machine, a tractor, in order to plow their fields and to plant their crops. That's a capital resource. Human resources are people along with the skills and knowledge they use in their work. For example, teachers, doctors, police, preachers, builders, the list could go on. But these are people and the skills that they have. For example, I myself as a teacher, I've been through school. I've learned how to become a teacher. I've been through training for that. Okay, so I'm a human resource. You are a human resource. Whatever skills you have, that makes you a resource. Okay, the key is human and people. Okay, next, economic systems. All right, your book refers to a term. Your book refers to a term called scarcity. Scarcity means not having enough resources. For example, if we live in an area, as I used earlier about water, if we live in an area where there's very little water, that means it's scarce. Scarce means there's not much of it to be found. Okay? Scarcity can also be sunlight. Let's say, for example, we live in an area where there's not much sunlight. Scarce, it makes it scarce, or we're talking about scarcity. All right, needs and wants. These are important terms that you'll need to know. Needs are things that we cannot live without. For example, food, shelter, oxygen, water. These are, and clothing. These are all things that we desperately have to have in order for us to survive and in order for us to live. Wants are things that we would like to have. Now, boys and girls in 4th and 5th grade often get confused with needs and wants. My sons do. If we're at a store, Brooks will say, I need a new Wii game, or I need a new TV. Well, his life doesn't depend on that. Okay, he may think so, or you guys may think so, but your lives don't depend on that. You need food, shelter, oxygen, and water, and also clothes, but you may want things like a new TV, new CD, or DVD, whatever the case may be. But these are things that you would like to have, but you don't have to have them. Okay? Next, opportunity cost. Okay? Opportunity cost is the thing that you give up when you decide to do or have something else. For example, let's say that I have $50 and I'm at Walmart and I want to buy a Wii game. Okay? And I also see that we need groceries. Remember, a want or a need is something that I have to have in order to survive. Well, I have to decide, am I going to use that money to buy the Wii game that I really don't need, or am I going to use that money to buy groceries, an item that I need to survive? Well, I can look at this money and I said I have $50 and I have to decide, am I going to buy that game, or will I use it to buy food with? Okay? An opportunity cost is the thing you give up when you decide to do or have something else. So I may decide, you know what, I need to eat. I'll save my money and get the Wii game later. That's called an opportunity cost. An economic system, and we'll learn more about this, is a set of rules that guides the use of resources and productions of goods in a country. In other words, we will learn in our book about the difference between Russia and the United States. We have two different economic systems. In Russia, or the Soviet Union as your book will call it, they decided who is going to produce certain items, what items will be produced, what items will be sold. In America, we have a free economic system. That's a system where people decide, if I want to start a business, I can. If I want to sell certain items, I can. The government does not tell me what to do. But this is called an economic system. Again, it's a set of rules that guide the use of resources and production of goods in a country. Thank you very much.